So welcome back to French Countryside Life. We find ourselves today in a place called Verville-sur-Mer, also known as Omaha Beach, the site of one of the D-Day landings. So I'm just going to read you an excerpt from an author called Jean-Bernard Moreau from his book, The D-Day Landings. The American landing at Utah Beach was relatively easy, with only a token resistance from the Germans dug in there. 15 kilometres further east, at Omaha Beach, things were radically different. The sea was much rougher, and the American troops landing there were confronted with very different conditions. The Omaha sector was not only more heavily fortified than the Utah sector, it was also better defended. The units of the German 352nd Infantry posted there were superior soldiers to the 716th they had replaced. The men of the American 1st and 29th Infantry had to make the shore without cover from their tanks, which for the most part had sunk under the 2-metre high waves the moment they left the ships. At 06:35, while the barges carrying the first units were still 400 metres from the beach, the German coastal defences, miraculously spared by that night's bombardment, started firing. Shells exploding in the water made the barges pitch even more, and machine gun fire lashed the boats' hulls. These men set off for the beach, deafened by the noise of the infernal cannonade and under a hail of bullets. Many of them never made it. Easy targets moving with lumbering slowness through the waves under the weight of their equipment. Those who did get to the shore were numb from the ordeal and chilled to the bone. On the beach there was extreme confusion. The rear tanks that had escaped collective shipwreck attacked the coastal batteries, which continued firing out to sea. Some which had been hit caught fire and belched thick black smoke. Even the many veterans of the landings on Sicily and Salerno, who huddled under the German positions with their companions, were limp with shock and as if petrified by the awful scene assailing their eyes and ears. As the time went on, the landing turned to chaos. The barges and the troops crowded the beaches, jostling for position with floating bodies and wrecks brought in by the tide. By 8 o'clock, the situation was catastrophic. The troops, who were still coming in, were wiped out or pinned down by the enemy fire. However, the few surviving officers recognised what was left of their units to impose decisiveness. General Norman Cotter, Lieutenant Commander of the 29th Infantry Division, dragged them out of their torpor, urging his troops to move out in small groups and resolutely heading inland, Colt in hand, indifferent to the bullets whistling round him. Before following suit, Colonel Taylor, commander of the 16th Infantry Regiment, galvanised his men, declaring that there were two sorts of men who will stay on this beach: the dead and those who are going to die. Let's get out of here fast. A few men fell in behind them, then a few more. Little by little, and sustaining heavy losses, the landed troops managed to get over the dunes. As the hours went by, the German opposition dwindled, weakened by the support of 2 destroyers which drew close to and destroyed the coastal batteries. Lacking reinforcements and fresh munitions, they were finally neutralised, and the shadow of failure, which had seemed inevitable, lifted from Omaha at the end of the morning. So there were fields where all the houses are now, running all the way down the coast here, and the Germans flooded those fields. So anyone coming in from the sea had to cross the beach under fire, cross the flooded fields and go up the bluff just there, where the German machine gun emplacements were firing down on the advancing soldiers. How anybody got off the beach alive is remarkable. Good morning everybody, it's Tuesday morning. So go down and check on the chooks, make sure they're alright. I can hear them. My foot caught in the fence. There you go. Right, I'm here. 5, 6. That's good. Coming in. Everybody's out. Right, let's see what we got in here. Well, we've got a rat somewhere or something. It keeps triggering the trap. I can't seem to catch it. So I'm going to set up the trail camera tonight and we'll see what shows up. That'll be interesting. Oh, let's just see what we got in here. 3 eggs this morning. Okay. All right, we'll leave them there for the moment. What is it, Doris? What do you say? Comes Edna. Got something to say? Okay. Fill up the water. No, I'm filling up the water. That's what you're coming running in for. Come on. So I've got a number of jobs to do today. So sort the chickens out first, something to eat, and then get on with the jobs. Right, here we go. That's the water for it. Let's go. There we go. So they're all happy. Gotcha. Will that be bunnies? So not forgetting, of course, feed the fish. Lovely. So it's been one of those days where time's just gotten away from me. I haven't really done much. You know those days where you say I'm going to do this, this, this and this, and then you're dashing around doing something, and then it's lunch, so it's something to eat, and then by the time lunch is finished, I was expecting Stefan for Stefan time, and then after that, yeah, I must go and do that. Oh, let's just watch that on TV. Let's do that, which we did, and then before you know it, it's 4 o'clock or 4:30, and then you just say, well, you know, it's too late to do anything now, and nothing gets done. So there you go. I'm sure I'm not the only one, but we've got a nice day planned tomorrow. I'm going to dash around first thing in the morning. I really will, I promise. I'm going to dash around first thing in the morning, and then we're going to go and see some nice people in the afternoon. I'm looking forward to that, so that'll be good. So yeah, see you tomorrow. Well, good morning. It is Wednesday. Got some running about to do this morning. Going to Lasse, get some cash, get some bread and croissants, and then pop down to the wood yard and hopefully get a pallet of wood, firewood. So let's get on with that. So I set up the trail cam last night, and it turns out we've got rats and mice. Of course we have. So have a look at this. This is what the trail cam recorded last night. So I'm going to have to deal with those, I think, in the nicest way. The thing is, you know, when you've got food lying about, you try and clear it up every night, but there's always scraps. So what can you do? It's one of those things, isn't it? Okay, so I went and got a light bulb for the one of the lights outside. Went out last night and got some stuff for the birds, for the wild birds. So moving swiftly on, off to the wood yard. So I've got the wood, I've got the croissants, got the bread, unhook the trailer and have some breakfast. I had driven past this church several times and I finally decided to stop and take a look. It's called the Chapelle Notre-Dame de l'Oratoire. A chapel was built there in 1852. After a number of miraculous healings, a second chapel was built in 1857, with a third much bigger chapel built between 1924 and 1927. The fresco inside was painted by Mr. André Bouet and took 22 years to complete. So good morning again, it's Thursday. This morning I'm going to see a man about a dog. I'm not. When I was a kid, when I used to ask my stepdad where he was going, he'd say, I'm going to see a man about a dog. He never came back with a dog. I think he was just trying to tell me to shut up. So anyway, this morning I'm going to go and see two sets of people about some work. So wish me luck. Let's go. So that went fairly well. The first job, it's a house that's been renovated, and they've got a big field and some land adjacent to the house, and it's brambles and tall grass. All needs to be cleared. They've had a visit from the mayor, who's basically said, look, you need to get this done, otherwise the mayor's office will send in a contractor to clear it and then charge them. So yeah, so he's just waiting to find out from the mayor whether the mayor's going to go ahead and do that, or whether he can employ me to go and do it. So I'm just waiting to hear back from that one. The second job, that's a goer. It's a really nice chap. It's only a small garden out the back, but it's completely overgrown with brambles and so on. And there's a small piece of land out the front as well. That's also brambles and grass, tall grass. So yeah, it's basically 2 jobs clearing brambles. Not my favourite thing in the world, but you know, it pays the bills. So I should be able to start the second job early next week. Forecast is good for another 5-6 days. Then there's a week of rain. So hopefully make a start on the second job early next week. So let's go. So I've had a nice afternoon. I cut the grass down the lane. That needed doing. We've had Mike and Nicola here come to visit with the kids, and really nice afternoon. Had some pastries and some cakes. So what's not to like? So really nice to see them, and have a nice evening now. Watch a bit of telly, I think. That's the plan. Good. See you tomorrow. So we just spent an hour stacking the firewood. So that was fun. Enjoyed that immensely. So next job, return the pallet to the woodyard, and I've got to pop to the bank in Banyol. I'll explain in a sec. Hey girls, I'm just popping out. I'll be right back. Okay? Do you mind? Okay. See you in a bit. Bye. So 2 interesting things popped up today. I've just had a French lesson with Stefan, and it appears that there's no direct translation of the word home, H-O-M-E, home. There's la maison, which is the house, and there's domicile, which is, there's a car a bit closer, and there's domicile, which is domicile, or you know, place to live. But there's no sort of that cosy sort of word home. Come home, or go home. And I think that pretty much sums up the difference between the French and certainly the English and probably American way of thinking about home. In that, certainly in the UK, there's a phrase, an Englishman's home is his castle, but it doesn't seem to be the same thing here, in that a house is a house. I think they get passionate about their women and cars, but they don't appear to get as passionate about their homes. So that's interesting. Now I'm gonna go and pay a check in. There's a big bank in France called Crédit Agricole, And unlike in the UK, say you banked with one of the banks called Barclays, you could go into any Barclays and pay in a cheque. In France, Crédit Agricole, each region has its own separate Crédit Agricole company. So it's difficult for me to pay a cheque into my local Crédit Agricole because we're just over the border of Normandy into the Pays de la Loire. So I have to go just back over the border into Normandy in Bagnoles de l'Orne in order to pay a cheque in. So 2 interesting things in one day. How about that? Buy one, get one free. So that's the cheque paid in. That was easy. Ordinarily you have to fill in a paying in slip and all that, but in that one you could do it all with your card in a machine. The nice lady showed me how to do it. Really easy. So now I know. That's another step forward in living the French life, isn't it? Anyway, crack on, get home. Feel a cup of coffee coming on. So it's Saturday, and we're going to pop up to a place called Domfront. It's a medieval walled town, and we're just going to have a stumble around there, see what we can find. Let's go. So I've got the War Memorial in the centre of Domfront here, and what's quite interesting is that got the First World War here, those in Domfront who lost their lives in the First World War, or the Great War, and then the Second World War, and it broken down into combatants, prisoners, and political deportees, and deported for work. And then down here you've got Indochina, which is Vietnam. The French were in Vietnam before the Americans. They didn't do so well there. Algeria, 3 soldiers lost their lives in Algeria, 1954, 1962. And then in 2004, the Ivory Coast, Frank Duval, Brigadier Chief. So it's almost 100 years of warfare there, and soldiers that lost their life from this town. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this week as much as I have. If you could like the video, maybe share it on social media, maybe think about subscribing if you haven't already. Press the notification bell so that you know when there's new stuff. All that's left to say is mine, there you go, and I'll see you soon.